Hi, I'm Joe Chetty. Catch me every Monday on a brand new show called Money Matters from 7 to 8 p.m., where we unravel the mysteries of money, offering expert insights and real world tips. Start your week right, because when it comes to finances, we are not just talking rands and cents, we are making sense of your sense. Money Matters with me, Joe Chetty, every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m., only on Southside FM 107.2. Yeah, my name is Joe Chetty, as you've listened to in my introduction. I am a financial planner by profession. Been 26 years practicing as a financial planner. I am a certified financial planner, and I belong to the Financial Planning Institute in South Africa. But most importantly, Doc, I want to say that I am a human being trying to make a difference in the life of another human being by just sharing some of my wisdom and knowledge that I've learned over the past 26 years. I did come from a corporate background, and 14 years ago, I decided to leave that corporate background to venture into my own territory. And the reason that I moved into that space was because people were asking more for financial literacy as opposed to the products that we sell. The conversations that we used to have was that you guys sell us a lot of products, but we are still broke at the end of the month. We still don't know how to manage our monies, and so I decided that I wanted to leave the corporate world, move into a practice of my own, and focus on money literacy for my clients.
So as you can see, listeners, Joe Chetty is going to be your man. If you want to know anything about financial matters, money matters, Joe is going to be your man. You should be listening every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. without fail so that you can empower yourself and at the same time enrich yourself financially, right? Maybe, right? This will be one of the, with Southside FM moving at such a great, trajectory, right? Who knows? This show will be another Bloomberg radio show, one of the most popular, right, money matters shows in the world, right? And Joe could be the next Dave Ramsey, the best producer and presenter on radio on anything to do with financial matters. So Joe, you could be there.
Yeah, Doc, I think the idea at the end of the day is to be able to empower our listeners, so that they are able to take charge of their money. Because if we look at the current landscape in our country, economically people are finding it tough. Inflation is going up. Forget about inflation going up, because inflation is one thing, but the cost of living is going up by twice that amount. We saw real life situations during COVID where either people lost their jobs or they had reductions in salaries, and then it was difficult to be able to get out of that. So the idea for the show is just to be able to give real daily life situations that the listeners are able to take and use in their lives, so that they can just get better value out of their hard-earned money. Um,
So it is clear from what you're saying that anybody can benefit of the show. That auntie that's selling murku there at opposite RK Khan's, right? Or that big corporate, accountant,
yeah.
So anybody can benefit from the show because it's this particular show, Monday Money Matters, caters for everybody across the spectrum.
No, that's absolutely correct, because I think there's this thought out there that, talking about money and managing budgets, your personal ones or whatever it is not for you because you don't have an accounting degree, you're not good with numbers and those kinds of things. But that couldn't be the furthest away from the truth, because everybody needs a skill here. And it's not just about the issue of managing money and numbers. It goes further than that. It talks about personality. It talks about identity. It talks about what's going through your mind when it comes to certain thoughts. So we are going to look at all of those aspects, talking about the psychological aspects of money. For example, we often have this informal discussions is what money conversations are you having in your home around your table with your children or with your family? Because the reality is that
Talking about that is very, very important. Because you know what? In this modern day society, we're so engrossed and busy with our own lives that we forget about our family. Right? It is very, very important that families on a regular basis, maybe at least once a month, sit around the table and budget together, where the father and the mother who are working could indicate as to how much the income that has been generated, what's the expenditure, so the children will be aware that, they should not be too demanding on the parents because things are not so good this month. And those discussions are not there anymore.
no, absolutely. I think all our children see is we get up in the morning, we go to work, we earn money, and we come back. That is all they know. If we want something, we swipe our card, we swipe our phones, we go to the ATM and draw the money. They do not understand, or do not realize rather, that there are also expenses to pay for. To pay for that house that they're living in, for the food that's on their table, simply because we are not telling them so. And so when certain demands are made, relationships at home, they become strained, because either the parent says, look, you can't have it, but doesn't give a reason why that should be done. That's the one thing. Then the other thing is, we know that for a fact that children learn from what they see and not just what they hear. So whatever you practice in your home, whether it has to do with money or anything else, your children are going to be will pick that up and take that out to the real world. And when it comes down to the issue of generational wealth, you want to leave, we work so hard because we want the best for our families, right? Yet we leave all of this to our families and try to work out why is it that it was not used the way we thought it would be used. So these are the type of conversations that I'd like to have on this station, on the show, so that families are able to pick that up.
And
use
I
it in
think
their own
also we
families.
need to understand that our listenership is so varied, right? People are still doing traditional savings, etc. For example, there's still people that participate in the lottery scheme. Because I remember growing in an household where my parents put lottery every month, and that lottery money was what bought our new TV.
Correct.
Or it paid for my college studies and so on. So there are still people doing certain things in a traditional manner. For example, amongst the black community, the Stockfell system is a huge system that is working well for them.
Exactly.
So, and I'm convinced that your show has the potential to tap into all these traditional type of savings and a traditional type of managing finances and so on, so that there's a holistic picture that's been given to our listeners.
Yeah, look, I think the end result of what the show is going to be is just to show listeners that if they take care of the cents, the rands are always going to follow. And often this is where we are bleeding our monies in those little cents that we are spending here or spending there. And let's just use a prime example. Is if you buy, just hypothetically, let's call it washing your car. Not so long ago, it cost 30 rand to wash your car. Now it's 50 rand or 70 rand. People don't know how they've arrived there, but they've done it. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't be washing your car. What I'm trying to say is that when expenses go up by small increments, you don't feel it. And all of a sudden you find you're spending this exorbitant amount of money, but you don't realize that you're doing it.
Excellent. Now, for the benefit of the listeners that are tuned in today, we need your input. We need you to send us WhatsApp messages or voice notes on 074 345 4447. Repeat, 074 345 4447. If you got any input that you'd like to make, remember, this is the beginning. We are planting the seeds tonight. And as Joe progresses every Monday evening, we will be taking inputs from our listeners to ensure that we cater for your specific financial needs. So as you prepare to send us your messages or voice notes, we will now have a song break, and in order to give us some opportunity to progress with this particular conversation.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Southside FM 107.2.
பெண்ணாய் வந்த கனவே விண்ணின்று பொழிவதென்ன, மண்ணில் உந்தன் பொழிவால் என் நெஞ்சம் நனைகிறதே, துளி துளியாய் காதல் மிதக்கிறதே, நிஜம் தானா பனித்துளியாய் மௌனம் கலகிறதே, வெண்மேகமாய் மிதந்தேன் பறந்தேன் முப்போகமாய் விளைந்தேன் வழிந்தேன், கார்மேகத்தின் கருப்பு வெள்ளை நான் புதுவானவில் வர்ணம் தீட்டவா, மனதில் மாயங்கள் செய்தாயே, காணும் யாவும் அழகாக, காணா உலகில் கால் பதித்தேன், மஞ்சம் தொட்டு தென்றல் வீச, தாமரை வானை பார்த்ததே, அழகிய பூக்களாக பூமழை தூவ கேட்குதே,
வாழும் நாட்களும் தூண்டினாய், நெஞ்சமெல்லாம் கொண்ட காதலும் தாமதமில்லா தகவலை தேட,
வாகை மழையே கேளடி உன் காதல் நண்பன் நானடி, தடம் மாற்றிடு கொஞ்சம் கேட்குத நெஞ்சம் இன்றே இனிதாக, லாட்டரி லாட்டரி பெண்ணே ஊர் கூடவே இருக்கணும் கண்ணே, நாளெல்லாம் வாய் மறந்திடத்தான், மிட்டாய் கோயில் நீ அடிமானே, சாரல் மழை வீசிடும், நான் பிறந்தது உன்னிடம் சேர்ந்திடத்தான்,
நெஞ்சமெல்லாம் நீயே நிறைந்தாயே, உயிரே உயிரே மௌனமில்லா மலராய் மலர்ந்தேனே,
வெண்மேகமாய் மிதந்தேன் பறந்தேன் முப்போகமாய் விளைந்தேன் வழிந்தேன், கார்மேகத்தின் கருப்பு வெள்ளை நான் புதுவானவில் வர்ணம் தீட்டவா, மனதில் மாயங்கள் செய்தாயே, காணும் யாவும்
you ready to be inspired? Join me on Ubuntu Pulse with Dr. G as we mark Human Rights Month. Tune in this Wednesday, 13th March from 7 to 8 p.m. only on Southside FM 107.2, where I will be in conversation with representatives from ABH and Chatsworth Child Welfare. From empowering stories to impactful initiatives, this 1 hour program will shine a spotlight on those who are championing human rights and social justice. Ubuntu Pulse with Dr. G, only on Southside FM 107.2, your community, your voice.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Southside FM 107.2.
Hi, I'm Joe Chetty. Catch me every Monday on a brand new show called Money Matters from 7 to 8 p.m., where we unravel the mysteries of money, offering expert insights and real world tips. Start your week right, because when it comes to finances, we are not just talking rands and cents. We are making sense of your sense. Money Matters with me, Joe Chetty, every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m., only on Southside FM 107.2.
Yes, we have Mr. Joe Chetty right here in the studio today, basically giving us some perspectives as to what to expect on Monday Money Matters. Right, Joe, incidentally, the song that we heard, the Tamil song, was entitled Lottery Penne.
Oh.
So it was very, very appropriate. Now, tell the listeners, the listeners need to know exactly what are they going to be expecting on Joe Chetty's Monday Money Matters.
Yeah, Doc, I think what we're going to be doing is we're going to be covering, as I said, real life daily challenges that listeners are having in terms of money. And the current topic that's, I think on everybody's lips at the moment is this two-pot system that's going to be coming out in September. So next week, we are going to be dealing with that. We're going to be talking about exactly what the two-pot system is, why it came out, works, how it's going to impact on people when they draw, what the tax implications are. And I'm going to also touch on how it's going to impact on government employees, because the system works differently for government employees and for people that are in the private sector. So that's the most recent, or what's happening around there. That's the most current topic that's happening. And then I think I'm going to unpack the show in terms of starting to talk to people about their relationships with money. The likes of knowing who you are, your identity, and how it impacts on expenditure, how it impacts on savings, taking responsibility for your actions, the likes of being honest with your spending. Things like retail therapy. We end up in a situation where we say, hey, we're going to the mall and we're spending all this money because we want to feel good about ourselves. That's what I'm going to be working with. And then how to look at the big picture. Earlier on, I mentioned the issue around taking care of your cents, because they add up to rands. So I'm going to speak about that there. Managing debt. Good debt, bad debt, intelligent debt.
Yes, lots of people get caught up in the debt trap.
Yes.
And I think it's very, very important for our listeners to be appraised on how to avoid being in the trap.
Yeah, I think that, yes, comes, together with the fact of how you're going to manage, how you're going to draw budgets up. And yes, if you are in debt, perhaps some tips on how to try and get out of it, stay out of it. And then also to look at debt sometimes as whether it's your friend or it's your foe. Debt, in all likelihood, or most people think of it as being your foe. But if you use debt intelligently, it can be a good friend to you. How do you leverage on something, on things like that there? Youth and finances. In June, we're going to be covering that extensively. Throughout the month, we are going to invite young people into the studio and have conversations with them about the challenges they face. But not only challenges, perhaps they can share ideas with us as to how they manage their own monies and how they make it work for them.
And then August, Women in Finance.
Absolutely. That's
so
what
it's thematic.
That's correct. You know, we're going to focus on women finance, women and finance in August. But then most people forget about men. You know, when is Men's Month?
July.
Actually, we're using November because more of Movember. So in November, we are going to do money, men and money, and how it impacts on them. Building credit records.
Yes.
You know, how do you build a good credit record? How can you fall into a situation where your credit record can be poor?
Yes, a lot of people that want to buy homes, the younger people especially, they want to buy a new car.
Yeah.
But when they go and apply for finance, they have a negative record.
Yeah.
Right. Now, and they have to wait for some time now before they get out of it, to get a proper,
finance.
A positive record
Yeah.
in order to get finance. So people need to be aware of these things.
Yeah.
And I suppose you're going to get some experts here in the studio,
Yes.
specifically directed to specific themes and points and matters.
Yes.
And tell us more
That's
about
right.
that.
So for every theme that we have, we will bring experts in. We'll try to bring them in. It's not very easy to get people to come on radio and talk, but we are going to try to do that with all the themes of the various months. And I can tell you, for now, for those women out there that want to be able to come into the show, you can send us a WhatsApp and we can talk about that there.
Talking about the WhatsApp, just a reminder for those of you who have just tuned in to Southside FM 107.2, right? Our WhatsApp number is 074 345 447. So if you got any input to make, and our financial guru here, in the studio, Joe Chetty, who is going to be hosting this Monday Money Matters. So if you got any tips or any recommendations, please phone in or send us messages so that we can, put it into his program for the rest of the year.
Yeah, underscore Doc, I think it's also important for listeners to send us what topics they'd like us to cover, because we may be missing something and the listeners may have something of interest out there. So send us questions that you have or topics that you have.
They may have experienced some, negative aspects in their life regarding finances.
Yeah.
They may have just had a bad experience. So maybe share that with us so that we can mitigate it for the future. And other listeners can benefit from that.
That's
right?
correct.
As we talk now, let's now pause for another song break. And this time we have Anandam Anandam, a lovely, South Indian piece.
Southside 107.2 FM.
ఏమైందో ఈ వేళ ఈ గాలి రంగులేవో చల్లిందా అందమైన ఊహేదో మదిలో వాలి అల్లరేదో చేసిందా మెత్తనైన నీ పెదవులపై నా పేరే రాశావా నే పలికే భాషే నువ్వే ఆవే వన్నెలా హో రెండు కన్నులతి గుండెలపై నీ చూపే గీశావా ఆగితే దాటి అడుగునైనా విడువలేనే నేనిలా ఆనందమా ఆనందమదికే మందమొలికే ఈ నవ్వున గుండె గదికే వెలుగే వెన్నెలా ఆనందమా ఆనందమదికే ఏ మందమొలికే ఈ పిలుపున అడుగునదికే పొంగే వరదలా
చూపులే మెరుపుల్లా
మెరిసెనా మెల్లగా దారిలోన మల్లెలవాన కురిసెనా ధారగా రంగు రంగు తారలతోన వీణలై క్షణాలిలా స్వరాలు పూసేనా ఓ ప్రేమలో ఓ నిమిషమే యుగాలు సాగేనా ఆనందమదికే ఏ మందమొలికే ఈ నవ్వున గుండె గదికే వెలుగే వెన్నెలా ఆనందమదికే ఏ మందమొలికే ఈ పిలుపున అడుగునదికే పొంగే వరదలా
Right. That was a lovely song, Anandam Anandam, but with Sid Sriram. Right. Now, we have a WhatsApp call. Oh, by the way, before we start, for those of you who have just tuned in, right, you are listening to Monday Money Matters with Joe Chetty. From next week onwards, Joe Chetty will be solo here, driving this new program, Monday Money Matters. And as we've just mentioned, for those of you who have not listened to the start of this program, Joe Chetty will be here hosting this program and providing you some guidance, providing you some expert advice on aspects dealing with money. And talking about advice, we have a WhatsApp message from Professor Nadarajan Govender. Vanakkam Joe and Dr. Raj, I am retiring next year and I would like to know how to invest as I will not be getting a monthly pension. And Professor Nadaraj Govender is from Tunley Manor. Joe, how do you think we will be addressing these type of requests?
So, Doc, Professor Govender, good evening to you. Yeah, these types of questions we will be addressing, bringing some experts in that have real fundis in that space, who may not necessarily give the advice, because every individual is different in terms of how they need to plan when it comes to a scenario like this. I have to say at this point in time is that as much as I'm a financial planner and that I'm on air, I have to put a disclaimer that no information that I give on this radio station can be construed as financial advice. It's just general information that we want to give to people. And
That's very important.
And if they want to be able to talk to us on a further basis, we are happy to share our numbers, or they need to speak to their personal financial planners.
But you will set them in the right direction, and they will take cognizance of the fact that they will find the best expert advice regarding a particular financial issue.
Yeah, and maybe just to share one or 2 points, in terms of a scenario like this. And I think the first thing that a person moving into retirement needs to do is understand what they need. In other words, they have to sit down and work out exactly what they are going to need going into retirement. Expenses may, in all likelihood, change because you're not traveling anymore. Probably you don't have debt anymore. Those kinds of scenarios. That's the one thing that I would recommend or say to people, perhaps where they need to start. And then, of course, you would need to work out whether you want.
But I must share a personal experience. 3 years ago, when I retired from public service after spending close to 40 years as a public servant, right? And when people came to know that I'm retiring, I had so many people coming to me from different financial institutions and so on. People have referred them to me, because they said that I'm retiring and they want to provide advice. They totally confused me, right? They really put me in a difficult position because you had so many people giving so much of different advice that it made no sense until finally I had to do what my gut feeling told me to do, taking all those into consideration. Do you normally get this on a regular basis where people, go like wolves to people that,
Yeah, look, I think the landscape out there is such that everybody wants some piece of that pie.
Yes.
The crucial thing is that, and the important things I think when it comes to a person looking at whether it's you move into a retirement space or you're just planning in general, is first of all see that the person that you are talking to is adequately qualified to be able to give you advice.
Correct.
Secondly, you have to make sure that that person is registered with the Financial Services, the FSCA, which is the Financial Services Conduct Authority, because that makes them authentic. Thirdly, I think what one must be very cognizant of is that there's no quick fix. Okay, if somebody is promising you extremely high returns, you have to be a bit careful as to whether that's true or not. You must see some evidence with regards to that there. Remember, yesterday's winner, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be tomorrow's winner.
And you know what? Talking about that, and the listeners, some listeners may have experienced this. There were a lot of people that have invested unwisely. They've taken their life savings and they've invested into deals that never bear any fruit, and they've lost everything. There are there's at the moment court cases. You read it on a daily basis in the newspapers where people have been taken for a ride, where they were saying, you've got now your investment, you've retired, you've got enough money, I would be able to take and invest in property or in mining and so on, and then they disappeared, right? So, we get this on a regular basis, so we need to assist our listeners not to fall in that trap.
Yeah, I think it comes down again to the issue of making people aware of the fact that there is no quick fix. If it's too good, if it sounds too good to be true, more often than not, it is too good to be true. And no one can promise you what's going to happen tomorrow. We got up in March, around about the 20th or so, and found out there was a massive virus that affected the whole world. Who knew it was coming? That impacted on markets tremendously. And then what happens when you see an impact like that there, you decide, hey, now I want to take my money out because I don't want to lose any more. So when it comes to investing, behavior is very important, because people, in my view, and I think in my years of dealing with people when it comes to money, they more often than not lose money not because of the markets, but because of behavior. They come out at the wrong time and they go in at the wrong time. So these are some of the tips that we would like to highlight in the show, so that people get more value and make good money decisions.
Right, so we got another WhatsApp message here. Vanakkam, welcome Joe to Southside FM, and Vanakkam to you, Raj. Very informative topic, listening. So basically, the message will be passed, Joe. That there's a show on Mondays on Southside FM, Monday Money Matters, and very soon, I think the main focus on the stock shows that we have introduced recently with the rebranding of Southside FM is to contribute towards assisting our listeners, right? So we plan on having on Mondays, Monday Money Matters, Tuesdays, Legal Tuesdays, right? Wednesdays is Ubuntu Pulse with Dr. G, and on Thursdays we have Dr. Prabhashni Kupasamy, who has a program, Doctor's Corner. So we are hoping in some way that Southside FM can assist our listeners in those various realms, right? It is normal that people go through medical issues.
Sure.
So her program does that. People need some legal advice. So Tuesdays they can tune in. So we are hoping, listeners, dear listeners, that through our rebranding and through taking Southside FM to just not only being a music station, but also providing expert advice, providing you some sort of guidance on certain issues. So I think that's the whole issue of Southside FM. And your show on Mondays is focusing on money matters.
Yeah. Look, I think it's and that's exactly what we're going to do. The reality is that there's no free lunch. Nothing in life is for free, and we find that the people that most need financial planning or financial advice or money matters advice are really ones that can't afford it because it's so-called expensive. And the purpose of the show is to try and give them as much information as possible.
Yes.
So they can make good decisions.
Information is king.
Informative decisions, yeah.
Information is king. And I think would Nadrajan, Govender, or anybody that's seeking advice, they need to do their homework. They need to do their research. They need to make absolutely sure that the direction that they're going to take is going to be to their benefit. And like you mentioned early on, they need to look at the authenticity of the financial advisors to see the track record, how experienced they are in the financial field before taking any decisions, right?
Correct. Yeah, look, I think that is exactly what it is about. It's about doing your homework thoroughly. Sometimes information overload, analysis can cause paralysis. Don't choose, 5, 10, 15 service providers. You choose about 3 or 4 because, like you said, you've had so many people contacting
total
you.
confusion.
Yeah, and often that becomes a challenge for clients or people that are trying to make this decision, because everyone has their own story. Talk to somebody that has a good process, somebody that follows a good process, like I said, qualified, experienced. But the most important thing is that they are registered, that they are authentic, that they are not, that they are licensed. Whilst qualification is a good thing, experience is equally important. And while experience is important, qualification is also important.
Like we always say, do your due diligence.
Exactly.
And find out before embarking on this, right? So now let's have another song break, and this time it's a Telugu song, Almost Padipoyinde.
107.2 FM.
ఆల్మోస్ట్ పడిపోయింది పిల్ల పిల్ల ఆల్మోస్ట్ పడిపోయింది పిల్ల 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 సున్ రే జాను దిల్లు చేసారేను అదిరే కన్ను కుంటే పిల్ల పిల్ల ఓ ఫుల్ మూను కున్నానే క్లౌడ్ నయను వడ్కా వైను నువ్వే పిల్ల పిల్ల ఏ సావరియా చెలియా కొంటెగా నువ్వేస్తుంటే నా దునియా రెండుగా అయిపోతున్నదే నీ మనియా సతియా మాయలో మనసు పడ్డానా నాలో లేనా ఆల్మోస్ట్ పడిపోయింది పిల్ల చెంపకు పింపుల్ల ఆల్మోస్ట్ పడిపోయింది పిల్ల కళ్ళకు రేవెల్ల ఆల్మోస్ట్ పడిపోయింది పిల్ల మందుకు మంచింగా ఆల్మోస్ట్ పడిపోయింది పిల్ల 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 ले मजा ले मजा ले मजा पिला चिल्ला ले मजा ले मजा ले मजा पिला पिला चिल्ला చుట్టే తిరుగుతూ కరుగుతూ ఇప్పుడు మరి నా టైము చేతికే దొరకట్లేదే నీ వెనకే ఇరుకులు పరుగులు పెడుతూ మరి నా హార్ట్ వేగమే తెలియట్లేదే రోజొక్క సీజను ఏదో ఓ రీజను చెప్పేస్తూ కప్పేస్తున్నానే నువ్వుంటే రాజును నువ్వే ఆక్సిజను ఆల్మోస్ట్ పడిపోయింది పిల్ల చెంపకు పింపుల్ల ఆల్మోస్ట్
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Southside FM 107.2.
Right. So, if you just tuned in, you are listening to Southside FM 107.2 Monday Money Matters, our brand new financial show with our brand new presenter, Joe Chetty. Right. And if you have any WhatsApp messages that you'd like to send to us so that we can, tailor make something for you, 074 345 4447. If you would like to make any inputs to the show, or you'd like to make any recommendations or anything that you'd want Joe to cover in his, the weeks to come, so please WhatsApp us on that number, or you can email us on admin@southsidefm.com. If there's anything that you'd like Joe to address, email us on admin@southsidefm.com, and we'll make sure that Joe gets that message. Right, Joe? One of the serious issues that people are being confronted on a daily basis, and you listen to this through WhatsApp messages, through TikToks, through Facebook, and other social media platforms, scams. There are so many people that want to overnight make money.
Yes.
And there are so many scams out there that are lurking in the horizon, and attracting people to get rich quick schemes, right? And people's hard-earned money that they've had are pushed into this particular scam. Tell us about these scams, and how do you think we can address this through your program, Monday Money Matters?
Yeah, Doc, I think it's, everybody wants to make a quick buck out there. And the reality is that anyone can fall prey to something like that. Over the years, I found that what happens is, because it's a psychological thing as well. Sometimes this comes to you at a most vulnerable stage in your life, where you really need to do something and you need to do it quickly. And unfortunately, we fall prey of that. And I think getting educated about money is one very important factor, first of all. Second of all is that, as I said early on, if it sounds too good to be true, then it more than likely is too good to be true. There are no quick fixes. You have to follow processes and go through the right channels. The other thing is that if anybody is ever promising you massive returns, and if they cannot be verified on the authorities' websites, which is the FSCA, then you must be very careful of something like that, because a product like that or something like that is more than likely not licensed. And so what happens is that if you happen to invest in something like that, you have no recourse should that company or that scam or that investment fall flat. So these are the things that you would have to look out for when it comes to scenario like that. It's just a matter of keeping a beady eye all the time, having your ear close to the ground, but form a good relationship with a good financial planner. Form a good relationship with somebody that you can go to say, look, I've heard about something like this. What is your take on it? How do you feel about it? What can you tell me about it? Simply because they're probably in the know, or they're in the space to be able to say, hey, you know what, stay away from this, or maybe we should do more research to find out what's going on in that space. And as I said earlier on, we attract what we think. And normally when we are in a situation, or not normally, but when we are in a situation where we are struggling to make it financially, we want to be able to find any avenue that's going to be able to. It's a matter of survival. It's a fight or a flight scenario. And in this case, we are saying, look, let's fight using all of these kind of investments that come our way. And the reality is, it comes, and I don't know how it happens, but it comes at a point where your mind is tuned to something like that. And then you, without thinking, you make some decisions rationally.
And as you were talking, my mind was starting to wander, because, being a researcher, sometimes your mind wanders as you listen to somebody. I believe also Monday Money Matters have a potential to have maybe a weekly consumer slot, like how we have with Wendy Nola, everybody, where people can send their messages or emails to find out about some consumer rights issue, and how we can find the right people to assist them with that, whether referring them to the financial ombudsman or insurance ombudsman or whatever. So depending on what the peculiar needs of our listeners are,
Yeah.
right? Maybe we can have a weekly slot within your Monday Money Matters, which focuses and zooms in onto consumer affairs, and it could be have a potential for assisting many people, because if somebody has a consumer problem, maybe 20 other people have a similar problem.
Yes, yes.
But it took one person to reach out to Southside FM. So I think, what do you think about that idea?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea. Remember, this show belongs to the people, doesn't belong
Correct.
to me.
Correct.
So whatever they need us to talk about, we'll try and address. And where necessary, we'll get the experts in to come and educate about that.
And I think directing them to the right people, like the ombudsman, or the whether it's an insurance matter, to the insurance ombudsman, and there's a whole lot of ombudsman. Now tell us, the ombudsman issue, is it an international thing or is it just South African?
Look, I'm not sure whether it's international, I have to be honest, but I can find out and get back to you on that there. But we know.
The reason why that was important, because listeners, Joe won't know everything, right? He won't have answers for everything. And if a peculiar question has been posed to him, and if he could not give you an answer immediately, he will investigate and the following week provide you with that answer. So that's what the purpose of this whole program is all about.
No, well said, Doc, because I think as much as I am in the space that I am, I'm not an expert in all of those fields. And this is the reason that for the certain themes that we have, we'll bring in the experts to be able to talk about it. Rest assured that if you do send us a query, we will certainly get back to you with some sort of feedback to give you an idea of what that is about and direct you in
So
the right
maybe
direction.
before we take a song break and we go through the your plan of action for the year, right? Before we round up the program, maybe just give us an indication of what you plan for the year.
So in April is Freedom Month. It's Mandela Month. So we are going to talk about issues around perhaps how you can save 67 rands a month. 67 rands a day. Issues like that there. So we'll deal with issues around freedom, how you get freedom from some of the things that are challenging you financially. Of course, May is Workers' Month, and we'll deal with challenges around what workers face. We'll speak about how the various funds work, the pension fund, the provident funds, what they do for you, what they don't do for you, and those kinds of things. June, of course, is Youth Month, so we'll bring youth in to come and share their experiences, like I said earlier on. In July, we'll be getting ready for tax filing season. So we'll talk to people about what they must get together so they can be ready when the season opens, that they can file in good time, get their monies early enough so that they are ready, for that day when it comes. Of course, August is Women's Month, so we'll be dealing about all financial issues around that impacts on women. September, we'll be talking about the likes of wills, because that's Wills Month. It's Heritage Month. We talk about our heritages and heritage of money and the likes. And then, of course, in October we'll be speaking about breast cancer. We'll be speaking about the likes of Financial Planning Week, and we'll direct you to some financial planners that will be offering pro bono financial advice, because that's what the FBI does during that period. November is Men's Month. We'll talk about men's issues, but it's also Black Friday month. We'll speak about the issues that surround Black Friday. And December, we'll start talking about the issue of the festive period coming and how you manage your finances because December starts usually on the 1st of December. I'm talking about the money that you earn, and it ends on the 31st of January, because there's the salary seems so far away. How you plan that, and we talk about the issues of perhaps financial goals for the new year.
And I think also the budget speech and the midterm budget speech, where we can get a panel here in the studio. We have the facilities for that, where we get a panel of experts to unpack and unravel the budget, that has been pronounced, as well as the midterm budget and so on. So I think, the potential for Monday Money Matters is immense.
Yes, correct. Yeah, as much as I'm sharing what my plans are, in terms of unpacking the show. Again, we are saying, listeners, send in what you would like to hear, and we'll work through it.
And I think, very, very importantly, the show should also feature some success stories. Some people that have made a remarkable contribution in society, and then they've become successful, where they've started from nothing and they've become very, very rich and multi-billionaires. So maybe we can feature some of the success stories. Let us have a song break, and thereafter we round up the show.
Okay.
And the song is Ed Sheeran.
When I was 6 years old, I broke my leg. And I was running from my brother and his friends, and tasted the sweet perfume of the mountain grass I rolled down. I was younger then. Take me back to when I found my heart, broke it here, made friends and lost them through the years. And I've not seen the boring fields in so long. I know I've grown, but I can't wait to go home. I'm on my way, driving at 90 down those country lanes, singing to Tiny Dancer, and I miss the way you make me feel. It's real when we watch the sunset over the castle on the hill. 15 years old and smoking hand-rolled cigarettes, running from the law through the backfields and getting drunk with my friends.
Right, you are tuned to Southside FM 107.2, Monday Money Matters with Joe Chetty. Right, this week I'm here with Joe Chetty just to basically introduce Joe Chetty as our new presenter for Monday Money Matters. From next week onwards, on a Monday, he'll be going solo on this show. And like we mentioned throughout today's show, all the different interesting things that's going to be discussed. So, Joe, let's just look at that last WhatsApp, also from one of the listeners here, and they talk about being trapped by loan sharks, right? This topic is a quick death threat to someone's life, she says, where money affects our daily life. Money makes and breaks friendship. So she talks about, the listener talks about two things here. One about loan sharks, and one about, money that makes and breaks friendship. So I think you will be covering that loan sharks issue.
Yes, for sure. I think it's again, it comes down to an issue of relationships with money, and it comes down to an issue of the cost of quick money,
Yes.
And how it's going to impact on you. And again, we'll bring in people that will be able to speak about these matters.
And I've known lots of friends that were so close, right? But because of lending and borrowing money, they destroyed that relationship.
Yes.
So I think these are some of the things that are very, very endemic in society, and which can be dealt with. So let's round up today's show. Tonight's show, we have a few minutes. Let's summarize today, Joe, for those that just tuned in or tuned in late. there was a whole lot of a potpourri of events that unfolded here today. So I think just summarize, right? What happened today and how we're going to take the show forward.
Yeah, I think the crux of today was just to inform listeners about what the show is going to be all about, and to be able to just mention to them what we are going to cover. This, in summary, is to say that the show is about being able to empower our listeners. It's there to be able to provide some skills on basic daily money management, and it's there to be able to just help them to make good decisions with their monies, provide tips in terms of perhaps not so much only about saving, but also about spending wisely. What do you look for, what you don't look for. And listeners, again, you just need to understand that this is your show, and send me all the information, or send us all the information that you would like to hear about, and we'll unpack it over the months that lie ahead.
And one thing I would like to recommend, since the Tamil Business Warriors is the principal funder of this particular radio station, they've invested a lot of money in the studio, in the outside broadcasting unit, and so on. So I would like to make an appeal to you as the host to maybe feature some success stories of some of the members of the Tamil Business Warriors on the show, because by doing that, others can benefit from their wisdom and so on, because we have a lot of members and members that are doing extremely well in the business field. Yes. You being a Tamil Business Warriors member yourself, so I think it will be very, very prudent that we get our parent body to feature on some of the shows, so that they can give us some insight into their business practices.
Their money stories, because everybody has a money story to share, and we'll bring them in one of these themes, and that's definitely on the cards and in our plans.
Right. So listeners, we have one more message here from. But this message is giving a request for a song, Kadal Rojave. Right? Maybe next time we will play that song, S.P. Subramanian song. But listeners, this was Monday Money Matters. It was an introduction to our brand new talk show, which is going to feature every Monday on Southside FM. You won't see me, or you won't hear me behind the microphone from next week, because Joe Chetty, our presenter that has been appointed to see to your needs. But once again, remember, our WhatsApp line is 1074 345 4447. Please send us your messages. Tell us exactly what you want on the show. And you know what? We will be able to assist you. If we can't, we will get the experts. And also, if you'd like to contribute, more holistically to Joe Chetty's show, please, you can also send us an email on edmund@southsidefm.com, and we'll do everything possible to ensure that your needs are here. Remember, this radio station, Southside FM, is a community radio station. You are the principal in our whole, recipe of success in this program, right? So, Joe, your parting shot to the listeners.
Thank you, Doc. I think it was a good introduction to the show. I'm really looking forward and excited to it. And I just want you to remember that Monday Money Matters is here, and it's your show, and we want to make sense of your sense. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Southside FM 107.2.
I'm Joe Chetty. Catch me every Monday on a brand new show called Money Matters from 7 to 8 p.m., where we unravel the mysteries of money, offering expert insights and real-world tips. Start your week right, because when it comes to finances, we are not just talking rands and cents. We are making sense of your sense. Money Matters with me, Joe Chetty, every Monday from 7 to